May 23, 1945. A British interrogation room in Lüneburg, Germany. Medical officer Dr. Wells approached the prisoner. The man had already confessed his identity. Heinrich Himmler, chief of the SS architect of the final solution, one of the most wanted war criminals in history. Wells began his medical examination. As his finger entered Himmler's mouth to check for concealed items, Himmler jerked his head away. He bit down hard. Glass shattered between his molars. 15 minutes later, Himmler was dead. The tiny capsule he had carried for years finally served its purpose. Not to escape Allied justice, though that was the result, but to escape something Himmler feared more than death: interrogation. The cyanide capsule was not a weapon of war. It was a weapon against war, against torture, against the moment when pain would break you and secrets would spill. Every Office of Strategic Services agent who parachuted into occupied Europe carried one, a pill the size of a pea. Death in your pocket, freedom in a glass shell. The problem facing intelligence services in 1942 was fundamental. Captured agents talked, not immediately, but eventually. Gestapo interrogation techniques were refined through years of practice. Sleep deprivation, beatings, worse, even the strongest operative broke after days of torture. When they broke, they revealed safe houses, radio codes, other agents. Entire networks collapsed from one captured operative. The intelligence services needed a solution, not to prevent capture, that was impossible, but to prevent interrogation. The answer was chemical: potassium cyanide, fast-acting, reliable, untraceable, after death. The challenge was delivery. A captured agent would be searched immediately, pockets emptied, weapons removed. Anything obviously a poison would be confiscated. The delivery system had to be invisible, small enough to hide, durable enough to survive rough handling, safe enough to carry for months without accidental activation, and lethal enough to kill in seconds when deliberately used. British Special Operations executive engineers at Station 12 developed the L pill, L for lethal. The design was elegant: a thin-walled glass ampule, oval shape, approximately the size of a garden pea, length roughly 3/4 of an inch. The glass was deliberately fragile, thin enough to shatter between molars, thick enough to survive being carried. Inside the ampule sat concentrated potassium cyanide solution. Not powder, liquid. The concentration was critical. Too weak and death took too long. Too strong and crystallization could occur. The solution was calibrated precisely: 200 to 250 milligrams of potassium cyanide, enough to kill any human within minutes. The glass ampule was covered in brown rubber. The rubber served multiple purposes. It protected the glass from accidental breakage. It prevented the ampule from being felt if carried in the mouth. It made the pill feel solid rather than hollow. The brown color disguised the liquid inside. If discovered, it might be mistaken for a vitamin capsule or medicine. The Office of Strategic Services adopted the British design immediately. OSS chemists produced identical pills at facilities in the United States. Production numbers remain classified, but estimates suggest tens of thousands were manufactured between 1942 and 1945. Every agent operating behind enemy lines received one before deployment. The chemistry of cyanide explains why intelligence services chose this specific poison. Cyanide kills by chemical suffocation. The cyanide ion binds to an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase in the mitochondria of cells. This enzyme is essential for cellular respiration. It transfers electrons to oxygen in the final step of energy production. When cyanide binds to the enzyme, this process stops. Cells can no longer use oxygen. They cannot produce adenosine triphosphate, the energy molecule that powers cellular function. Without energy, cells die. The brain and heart are most sensitive to cyanide because they consume oxygen fastest. When an agent bit down on the capsule, glass shattered. Cyanide solution flooded the mouth. Absorption through oral mucosa was rapid. Within 10 to 15 seconds, the victim lost consciousness. The sequence was predictable. First came a metallic taste, then dizziness, then darkness. The agent never felt what came next. Convulsions, respiratory arrest, cardiac failure. Death followed within 2 to 3 minutes. But the agent was unconscious for all of it. This was the crucial detail. Gestapo interrogators had perhaps 10 seconds between the moment an agent bit the capsule and the moment unconsciousness arrived. Not enough time to extract information. Not enough time to administer an antidote, even if one had been available. The capsule worked because speed defeated interrogation. The concealment methods varied by mission and preference. Some agents carried the capsule in their mouth, tucked between cheek and gum or against the roof of the mouth. This placement was counterintuitive, but safe. If accidentally swallowed whole, the rubber-coated capsule would pass through the digestive system without breaking. Only deliberate crushing between molars would break it. Other agents preferred external concealment. Special operations executive issued capsules sewn into shirt collar corners. The agent could bite through fabric and crush the capsule. Some capsules were hidden in eyeglass temples. Others were sewn into coat linings or trouser seams. The location mattered less than accessibility. SOE agents called them cough drops. The nickname reflected the size and the grim humor of those facing possible capture. Knowing death was available provided strange comfort. Torture became less frightening when escape was guaranteed. The capsule represented control. Captured agents had lost freedom, weapons, and options. But they retained one choice: whether to talk or to die. This choice created psychological resistance. Interrogators knew captured agents carried suicide pills. This knowledge undermined interrogation. The Gestapo had perhaps hours before the agent decided to use the capsule. This urgency made interrogators aggressive. Aggressive interrogation sometimes backfired. Agents who might have broken under patient questioning instead chose death under immediate torture. Not every agent used their capsule when captured. The decision was personal. Some agents endured interrogation and survived. Others used the capsule immediately upon capture. The choice depended on circumstances. An agent captured with critical intelligence about an imminent operation might use the capsule instantly. An agent captured after a mission was complete might risk interrogation. The capsule provided the option, nothing more. The option itself was the weapon. Field reports from 1943 and 1944 document both outcomes. Some captured agents were recovered alive after months of imprisonment. Others were found dead with shattered glass fragments in their mouths. The Gestapo learned to search mouths immediately upon capture. But even knowing what to look for, they often failed. The capsule was too small, too well hidden, too quick to use. The untraceability of cyanide poisoning mattered strategically. When a body was discovered with cyanide poisoning, German authorities could not prove murder. Suicide was plausible. This plausibility protected resistance networks. If the Gestapo could prove an agent had been murdered by their own side to prevent talking, it would confirm the existence of active networks. Cyanide death looked like suicide. The Germans documented suicide. They filed reports. They moved on. Murder investigations were more thorough. They led to other arrests. Cyanide kept investigations shallow. The chemical evidence was clear, but not damning. Potassium cyanide was used in photography and metallurgy. Its presence did not prove intelligence work. High concentrations were suspicious, but not conclusive. Post-mortem examination revealed the characteristic signs: bright red coloring of the blood, bitter almond smell. But these signs faded within hours. If the body was not found immediately, evidence disappeared. German intelligence used different methods. The Wehrmacht issued cyanide pills to some officers and high-value personnel. But German pills were different. Larger glass ampoules in brass containers, less concealment-focused, more oriented toward preventing capture by Soviet forces. The difference reflected doctrine. German officers feared Soviet interrogation more than Western interrogation. Japanese forces used cyanide extensively. Japanese officers often carried cyanide as part of their personal equipment. The cultural context was different. Japanese military doctrine emphasized death over capture. Cyanide was not escape from torture. It was fulfillment of duty. American forces did not issue suicide pills to regular troops. Only intelligence operatives received them. This distinction reflected American military values. Soldiers were expected to evade and escape. Spies were expected to protect secrets at any cost. The L-pill production continued through 1945. Even after Germany surrendered, OSS agents in Asia received cyanide capsules. The pills remained standard issue during early Cold War operations. The Central Intelligence Agency continued the program. By the 1950s, CIA chemists had developed alternatives. Saxitoxin extracted from shellfish, faster acting than cyanide. But cyanide remained available due to its simplicity and reliability. Modern intelligence services have largely abandoned suicide pills. Interrogation resistance training has improved. Legal protections for prisoners have strengthened. But for agents operating in occupied Europe between 1942 and 1945, the cyanide capsule was essential equipment. The numbers tell the story. Tens of thousands of capsules produced. Thousands issued to agents. Hundreds documented uses. Unknown additional uses never recorded. Each use represented the same calculation: information versus life, secrets versus torture. The agent who bit down on the capsule made a final choice. Better to die free than live broken. Better silence than betrayal. The capsule enabled that choice. The weapon that killed its user was designed not to take life, but to preserve something else: dignity, loyalty, the knowledge that even captured, even defeated, the agent controlled their own end. Heinrich Himmler understood this when he bit down in that British interrogation room. The SS chief, who had ordered the deaths of millions, chose the same escape his own agents had created. The same glass ampoule, the same bitter liquid, the same 15 minutes of agony. Death by design. Freedom through chemistry. The L-pill was never meant to be used. Its mere existence changed the psychology of capture. Agents who never activated their capsules still benefited from carrying them. Interrogators who never witnessed a suicide still modified their tactics knowing the possibility existed. The small glass ampoule shaped the entire intelligence war, not through use, but through potential. The ultimate deterrent, not against capture, but against the moment after capture when pain would arrive and will would break. The cyanide capsule gave agents one guarantee: they would not be forced to betray. They could choose silence. They could choose death. That choice was the real weapon. The glass and poison were merely the delivery system. American innovation in this field was not the chemistry. Britain developed that. American innovation was recognizing that psychological weapons mattered as much as kinetic weapons, that giving agents control over their own death strengthened their resistance to torture, that a pill the size of a pea could protect intelligence networks better than any security protocol. The OSS understood what conventional military thinking missed. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you never fire. The one you carry. The one that changes everything simply by existing. The cyanide capsule in every agent's pocket. Invisible insurance against the unbreakable. Portable death. Freedom in a glass shell.